Welcome to Bolts and Nuts of Financial Wellness, presented by Ruth Kiragu, Money and Financial Wellness. I am Ruth Kiragu, and this is the beginning of a journey that has been growing in my heart for some time. This is going to be a journey, and every journey has to be started with a step. And today is my first video. So we are going to call this episode 1. It is an episode that I've tried 100 times, but I'm just going to speak because I believe it's a journey that is going to help not only me, but others. It's a 7-year journey towards financial independence and a retirement in Kenya. Now, before we begin, let me tell you what this channel is not. This channel is not where I come as a financial advisor. It is not a channel where I'm claiming to have it all. This is a channel where I come saying, I am ready to learn. I come as a student, a steward, an accountant, a mother, and someone who has recently experienced a very important realization. I have realized that most of my adult life, I have been working to pay bills. How many can relate to that? How many? Pause. We work to maintain our current lifestyle. We work to pay rent, mortgage, to pay utilities, school fees. We work to pay insurance. We work to pay the things that makes life function. And there's nothing wrong with that. But one day, I found myself asking a different question. What if my bills were already taken care of? What if my lifestyle was supported by a passive income? What if I no longer had to wake up every morning thinking about how to meet the next bill? What would I be doing? Would I be doing the same thing? Would I be making a greater impact? Would I be spending my time differently? Would I be serving people differently? Would I be living more fully in my purpose? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that much of my energy, creativity, and productivity has been focused on sustaining my current lifestyle. That awareness was uncomfortable, but it was necessary because awareness is where change begins. And for that awareness, I first want to thank God because this journey did not begin with a spreadsheet. It did not begin with a retirement calculator. Neither did it begin with an investment account. It began with awareness. The desire to retire early has been in my heart for several years. But desire alone does not create change. You can desire something for years, continue doing the same things every day. How many can relate to that? That in your mind, there is a desire. You already have a goal, but that goal never moves. You still do the same things. Your mindset doesn't change. And you know what? That's the realization that I came to learn. And I realized I only have 7 years before my youngest daughter goes to college. 7 years. And when I looked at that timeline, I asked myself, am I intentionally building towards the future I say I want? Or am I simply hoping things will work out? The question became the starting point of this journey. And what could have remained private journey became something else. I felt led not only to learn, but I want to document my learning. And not only just document, I want to teach it. So this is me getting out of my comfort zone. I love teaching, I love training. I'm not afraid of public speaking, but when it comes to to speaking in front of a screen, that's something different. But I have to do it because I believe my strength today, going through this episode, it will do something to my brain. However, my teaching is not because I know everything, but because I'm willing to learn openly and share what I discover along the way. There are several people I want to thank because God used them to confirm what was already in my heart. First, I want to thank my Reverend Martin Degwa of Covenant Life Center in Des Moines, Washington. He gave me an opportunity to teach Bible study. The last time I taught Bible study on a regularly was about 7 years ago. And so here I am teaching again. And I remembered how much I loved teaching. Something came alive. And I understand how much I enjoy taking ideas and helping people understand them. The second person that I want to thank is David Ngige. He's a director of 318 Men at Covenant Life Center. On a Sunday, last month in June, one Sunday after seeing me teach, he asked me a simple question: why don't you become a trainer? What was interesting is that more than a year I've been praying about teaching, training, not whether I should teach, but what should I teach? I knew God has given me the gift of teaching or training. I know I have the gift of speaking, but I kept asking, what's the message? What's the assignment? And that has been my prayer. So you can imagine that Sunday him asking me, why don't you train? It did something to me. I started to think about it. Wow, not only do I feel it, but somebody else is seeing it. Then look at how dots get connected. The following day, a Reverend Wamboy in Atlanta, Georgia, texted me. She asked me whether I was attending a women's conference because she wanted me to teach financial conflict in marriage. That moment taught me. Let me tell you, if there was a moment that it set me down, it made me dream again, it is that time. It is that text. And I think it is a text I will treasure. Because Reverend Wamboy, we've not interacted with her face to face. I don't think she has seen me teach. I don't think she has seen me train. But here she goes and says, I have a topic for you, financial conflict in marriage. And you know what? I immediately texted David and I said, guess what? Look what I've been asked to do. And David texted back and his reply said, it becomes the confirmation that it is time. This is what he said, and I'll read it to you. This is what he wrote to me. He said, God does not reveal the entire staircase ahead of us. He simply illuminates the next step. For you, the idea has already taken root. The seed is there. Don't be discouraged by its size or by not seeing the full picture. Nurture it with prayer, faith, and faithful action. And in time, you will watch it grow into something far greater than you. In time, you will watch it grow into something far greater than you can presently imagine. And that sealed it. I knew, and this was when? This was June the 16th, about 20 days ago. And I knew this is it. I knew I've got to do something. And then the next person that I want to thank is Pius Moshiri. He's a CEO of Nabo Capital in Kenya. Nabo Capital in Kenya is a fund manager. And I listened to their podcast on YouTube. I love to listen because they talk about wealth, they talk about investments, they talk about the products they have, they talk about the mindset. So they talk about quite a lot. But this time he was being interviewed, how he started his journey. He trained to be an accountant. So I related with that. I was very excited. I said, wow, look at that. So he trained to be an accountant, but eventually he moved into investments. This is how he described accounting is backward looking. Accounting tells us what happened. Accounting records history. Accounting analyzes the past. But wealth building requires something different. It requires looking forward. It requires a vision. It requires asking, what future am I building? And with that, I knew that investment is the way forward, is what I need to do. The finance is what I need to do. The future forward looking is what I need to do. Because all these years, for 20 years that I've been an accountant, it has been backward looking. For example, we are in July. We are looking at June. What happened in June? What happened last year? Can we compare last year's June to this year's June? It all tells us about history. My mindset changed. It changed because now I want to look at forward looking. The future, what future am I building? You know, every day at work, I work with historical information. I reconcile transactions, I analyze financial results, I explain variances. I have spent much of my professional life looking backwards. But if I want that financial independence, I must begin looking forward. And so that was another confirmation. So when I look back now, I can see God was connecting dots through different people who did not even know the conversation in my heart. And you know, that brings me now to the scriptures that have shaped this journey. This journey, today is the first episode. I'm looking at Matthew 25 to 30. This is the parable of the talents. And most of us know this story. A master entrusts his servant with resources. One receives 5 talents, the other one 2 talents, and the other one 1 talent. And the first servant trades with what he has been given and gains 5 more. The second one does the same, trades with what he has been given and gains 2 more. But the third servant hides what he has been given. And when the master returns, he says to the first 2 servants, well done, good and faithful servants. You have been faithful over a little, I will set you over much. That phrase captured my attention. Faithful over a little. You know, whether they had 5 talents or 2 talents, the master still called it little, meaning there was more available. But first, they had to demonstrate faithfulness. Then we come to the third servant with the 1 talent. He hid what he had been given, and we can see his attitude. And when I read that story, I had to be honest with myself. I am not different from that servant, because if everything that comes into my hands is immediately consumed, then in a sense, I have hidden it. I have not traded it. It has not multiplied. It has not grown. And the realization became my starting point. Not shame, not regret, but that awareness. And this is a second chance, an opportunity to do something different. Because today, after nearly 20 years of working, I have to ask myself, if I could no longer work tomorrow, what would I show for the opportunities I have been given? Could I sustain my lifestyle? Would I continue living the life I want? Or would everything come to a stop? Those are not comfortable questions, but they are necessary questions. And this is why I'm documenting this journey. As hard as it is to start speaking to the screen, I will do it afraid. I will do it unprepared. I will do it prepared. I will do it with strength. Whichever way, I will do it. Because I want to retire from the rat race and step into a life that is more intentional. Now you may be wondering why the name bolts and nuts of financial wellness. The answer comes from Noah. Genesis chapter 6. When God instructed Noah to build the ark, he gave him a blueprint. But Noah did not simply admire the blueprint, he built. You know, the Bible doesn't show us his everyday work, the gathering of materials, the hammering of nails, cutting wood, measuring, adjusting. It doesn't tell us. It tells us it shows us the blueprint. And guess what? I said this journey, I have the blueprint, but I will display the everyday work, the day after day, month after month, year after year. And I can imagine there are times that with Noah, the nails would bend sideways, and he had to remove and redo. And that's the image that I have for this journey, that today's knowledge will build tomorrow. And if tomorrow I learn something else, and I need to go back to what I've done today and redo, I will do that. I will simply document my thought process. I will simply share what I have achieved. I will simply share the challenges, the knowledge, the unlearning, the learning, and the daily decisions, the mistakes, the corrections, the learning, the building. I will share that because I believe there's somebody who will see that and resonate with me. Somebody will see that and be inspired. Somebody will see that and see the doing and not be afraid of the word financial freedom, not be afraid wealthy, not be afraid of those big words that are used that sometimes that, you know, we see the blueprint. Oh, you have to retire with 1.2 million. You have to retire with 2 million. You have to, and we stopped at that because the blueprint is so big. But let me tell you, this journey that I've started, it will be a daily, a weekly transaction, a process, which when you see it, you will see that you can also do it. So I don't have everything figured out. I don't even have my final financial freedom number, but I will calculate it. I will share it. I will explain how I arrived at it. I will document the journey along the way for the next 3 months. Our focus will be financial leakages. Before we talk about investing, wealth building, retirement, then financial independence, we first need to answer one question. Where is our money actually going? Do you know where your money is going? Do you know how much you save, or do you know how much you retain from your disposable income every month? Do you have that number? The financial leakage is simple. Reconcile your account. This lesson came from something I do at work. I work in a data center environment where we purchase electricity and distribute it to our tenants. When we compare electricity received versus electricity distributed, the number never matches perfectly. There's always some loss. Sometimes it is expected. Sometimes it requires investigation. And one day while doing that reconciliation, I started thinking about personal finances. Many of us know how much we earn. We know how much we plan to spend. Many of us have a budget in their mind. It's not on paper. But when you compare that plan that we have, whether on paper, whether in the mind, whether it is somewhere in between, if you compare that to what actually left our bank, would we match that reconciliation? Would we see a variance? Would we see an unfavorable variance or a favorable variance? Because if we don't reconcile your money, you will never know where it is leaking. This is where our journey begins. So over the coming weeks and months, we will talk about financial leakages. Mostly, importantly, I will share what I'm learning as I work toward financial independence over the next 7 years. And my hope is that as I build, someone else will be inspired to build. As I learn something else, someone else will learn. And as I ask the hard questions, someone else will begin to ask those same questions. So welcome to Bolts and Nuts of Financial Wellness. Welcome to the Stewards community. Please share this episode, like and subscribe, and let's learn together, let's build together. Welcome to the journey.